everyone, this is Dawn, and this is part 20 of our retreat. And this week we're reflecting on Jesus sharing his message to the people he encountered day to day, the message that went to the religious leaders of the time that caused tension. And so we're looking at all of those scriptures this week and using them to figure out a little bit more of who Jesus is and who he's calling us to be as well. So I have this handy sheet that I will link to this post that you're seeing. And at the top are some scripture readings there. I give you the chapter and verse, but also it's linked, so if you don't have a Bible handy, you can just click on it and it'll take you there. And we're going to invite you to use these scriptures and other messages of Jesus in there. So I didn't include in here the Beatitudes, but you could look those up. Other times in which Jesus talks to people. That's what you're trying to use in this week. To use the word of Jesus to listen to them. Listening is actually what this week's all about, to listen to them closely. Because there are stories that we have heard time and time again, and sometimes when we hear something repeatedly, we stop listening, really. And so maybe they've not really ever left really an impression on you. This week, use these stories to go deeper. If there's one that you're like, whatever, maybe that's the one you choose a little to focus more on. That you'll have to probably read it several times. The first time, read it through, trying to understand the context and what's happening in the story. And then the second time you read it through, look for words that stick out to you, something that you notice and surprises you maybe. And so you might need to do this each day of the week, pick one of the stories or something like that. Notice, the other thing is you might want to look at different translations. So what I'm referring you to is one translation, but you might have other Bibles at home or online. You can find like 8 million different translations. And notice how saying the same passage translated in different ways might give you different insight. And so to help you reflect on what was Jesus saying, what was the message for the people of who he was speaking to. That same message is for us today. Think about the audience. Who were they? Who was this good news for? Who might be threatened by it? That's a key in this week, is thinking about that. Can you place yourself in the scene and hear Jesus speaking and feel proud of what he's saying about his words of comfort and liberation? Can you hear them addressed to you yourself instead of just to the crowd? Can you hear Jesus speak these words to you? When you get to the readings about Jesus confronting the religious leaders of the day, try to imagine what it took for Jesus to confront him. I personally run from confrontation, which isn't healthy. And so I get nervous at these readings, but that's not what Jesus was called to. He was called to speak these without fear. We're approaching the part of Jesus's life that takes him to Jerusalem and where he will surrender his life. He doesn't do this as a passive and meaningless act or a meaningless victim or of some unseen force. He willingly chooses this. So this week, as you wake up each day, think about Jesus' words, the words he spoke with prophetic clarity, how he came to proclaim liberty to captives and bring good news to the poor as their advocate. Then during the day, as you let these stories run around in the background of your mind, in all these times, try to be more sensitive to the forces at work that are contrary to human dignity, contrary to justice. So let the stories, Jesus' words from so many years ago, have an impact on what you encounter in your daily life. As you read the paper or listen to the news, pay attention to where you hear the cry of the poor. in the headlines or in the subtext, and be attuned to the voices that speak for values and for justice. Then each evening, thank Jesus for showing you who he is and how he is drawing you to him. Blessings on your week.